What are you eating, Ariel? Was it just like a cucumber and a tomato?
Cornichons?
Cornichons?
Little pickles?
Or little pickles.
I like that. Cornichons? Little pickles.
I've just
that's
discovered that I like pickles, but those are the only ones I like.
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm kind of starting to feel the same way. I've always very much disliked pickles, and now all of a sudden, I'm like, starting to crave them.
Hot pickles. I hate
Maybe
hot
you're
pickles,
pregnant,
but
Bobby.
I think we've talked about that before.
Yeah, you might
Could
be
be.
pregnant, Bobby.
Yesterday was your anniversary. How'd that go?
It was nice. So we were going to go to a spa that didn't work because they didn't have a thing, which honestly I'm fine with. The spa I think I could take it or leave it, although I haven't really done it. So
Never been.
yeah, I know, but it's like I want to sit here in a sauna room or I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm sure it's great. We decided to go to a house called the Hog House, which is a historic home in River Oaks. I think it is it is the most expensive neighborhood in Houston. And her name was I'm a Hog, which is interesting. She at one point was the wealthiest person in the country, and in like the 1930s, 40s, something like that. Her family owned the Texaco company, so oil money. Anyway, it was a great house. We had a private tour with a guy that was maybe 90 years old, and I think he had a broken hip, but still nice guy. Just took a long time for him to get up and down the stairs, but that was fine. Learned a lot about furniture and stuff. I actually think you two would have liked it. I don't know. Maybe not Tom. Well, maybe Tom. I don't know. They didn't have any like anime action figures.
Did anybody else
like
just see the way Tom put his glasses on? I've never seen someone put glasses on that way.
Anyway, so then after that, we went to a local winery in downtown Houston, which was pretty cool. And then we went to a steakhouse called Papa's Steakhouse, which is fantastic. And I was telling, before we got on air here, I was telling everybody that I accidentally ordered a $120 lobster, and I was kind of pissed off about it because it was good, and it's like lobster, I get it, but I don't know. It's a lot for not a lot of meat. So yeah, lived it up. And then I drank an espresso. Do you guys do the espresso after a meal, like a nice meal?
No.
No?
I'll have
Usually
a
just do
cappuccino
coffee all the time.
I did one of those, and I woke up
right.
I woke up at 3 a.m. wired.
That's the tricky part because as I've gotten older, I can't drink coffee late in the day.
Yeah, that was a mistake. So anyway, now I'm feeling good. So my anniversary was great. There's that little mishap with the lobster, but it was great.
You put a lot of butter on lobster.
Do I?
It's kind of just a vehicle to pour butter onto.
I feel like you're talking shit about lobster. I think I've heard this argument that like nobody would eat lobster if it wasn't just like good marketing or something like that. It used to be a food for people that didn't have any money, and so nobody actually likes how it tastes. You just put a bunch of butter on it. But my argument would be like, you go to a nice steakhouse, they put butter on the steak. You gonna tell me the steak sucks?
You put butter on shrimp?
You can put butter on anything.
Is that a real question? You can butters.
They're kind of similar, and you were saying that you like shrimp in like the same sentence you said you like lobster. So I was wondering.
So I mean, I like to eat lobster without the butter, and then I like to try it with the butter. I like to get two different, experiences with my lobster.
Bobby's a man of many secrets.
What's
He's an enigma.
Faceted.
He likes to try it with some butter. He likes to try it without some butter.
All I did was answer the question that was presented to me, and I answered it truthfully. So,
do you eat caviar?
No, I don't. It's very salty. Weird.
Tom, what's a special meal with you and your wife look like? Like what are you going? Like what's a template for it?
Yeah, give us a template
for like what I cook.
No, a special date night.
No, it's like it's your 10th anniversary or something.
10th anniversary. How many years you been married, Tom?
Around 10-ish.
Right. Okay, maybe this conversation is more important than you know.
Once you hit 10, though, it's just around 10 till it's 50.
But are you past 10?
No, we're close to 9.
You should know at this point.
You're close to 9.
Oh, he's close to 9, so it's in between 8 and 9, or somewhere 10. Between 7 and 9.
When did you get? What is your anniversary? Do you remember your anniversary?
Do some math.
It's in August.
It's in August.
Beginning? End?
I don't care about
end
year
of August, or possibly beginning of September.
gosh.
I feel like Tom knows. He's just
Oh,
I think
playing
it's
a role
on.
right now.
He's messing with us right now. I got
All
lucky.
right,
Mine's
so
5, 10, 15. So it's like very, very easy to.
I proposed to my wife on her birthday, so those were on the same. And then I tried to get married on her birthday.
Did you do that
So
so you
that
didn't
I
have
would
to
only
buy
have
an
one date
additional
Oh,
for
Smart.
absolutely. He's just, this is a FIRE strategy. He read this
That
on a
is the
blog
fire
somewhere.
strategy. Dang, dude. So one
No,
present.
that's
but
a
we ended up
memory
not being able-
strategy.
Yeah, I don't remember dates very well at all.
Oh.
So, like you're seeing right now. So her birthday the next year ended up not falling on a good day to get married. So it's like a week later than her birthday. But I think her birthday is on August 21st.
Can we get to the part where you tell us about the
wait a
meal
second.
that you do?
Wait, hold on a second. He proposed to her on her birthday to remember the date better, and he still doesn't even remember that date. He thinks.
Usually check Facebook for her birthday.
All right, we'll back off of you here. Tell us about like what's like if you're doing it up, you're going out on the town. What's top Tom?
After having kids, night on the town.
If you
where
were,
my
if you
grandma would
if
come
you
over
had a
Keep the romance
babysitter,
alive, Tom.
but if
What
you had a
restaurant do
babysitter
you
and you
go
didn't
to?
have to
Like-
like worry about that part of it, what would you do? It's a nice night out.
go someplace local. Honestly,
Okay,
Yeah,
tell
Taco
us
Bell. Like
the
what-
last
what are
place we went
talking
to
about?
ended up closing during the pandemic. I think
You haven't been out on a
Slightly,
date
yeah.
since before the pandemic?
out to dinner, done things, but like not always dinner.
Well, apparently
ever dinner.
Never dinner.
Yeah.
Michael had the saddest look on his face that I've ever seen.
Tom, you need to take your wife on a date.
We went to the city not too long ago. Actually, we went to a hockey game a few weeks ago. That was a date night.
That's
so
nice.
chili
dog.
dogs.
Rangers versus the Sabres. She's
Okay.
a Sabres fan.
Do you
It was
like when you
actually
go to the
a Christmas
city? Do you
present from my
do
parents.
nice things in the city, or you were just like, did you get a halal cart? Well, good food, but maybe not a date night.
We just ate stadium food that night. So
Tom, I'm going to take you
no,
offline. and we're
don't. Guys, stop. You are like
No,
inserting
I
your
can't.
feelings about how
Yes.
a date night should go onto Tom and his wife. And they might be perfectly happy going to a game and having a chili dog.
No, that doesn't sound right. I don't think that that's true, and I think Tom is playing it up a little bit, and I think
ginning
you're
it
jumping
up.
in to
little?
save him.
Well,
Yeah. He's,
so
where,
the
where
hockey
would you
games-
go? Don't talk
Madison Square
hockey
Garden
games.
is right next to Penn Station. So you get out of the train and you go right to the game. It's super easy.
Oh, I believe you made it efficient. I believe it's all set up.
Okay. Do you have a nice restaurant that you would take somebody to, or not? And if the answer is no, then we're going to move on to Michael.
I don't have like a go-to.
Michael.
Different date nights call for different things, but it's nice to on our well, I guess on my birthday this year, Bobby, you would have hated it. We went to the spa.
I don't know if I would hate it. It just didn't seem
No,
like my
you
thing.
wouldn't hate it. You'd like it. You just need to be like, I want you to introduce me to golf, but I should introduce you to the spa. You got to go with someone who wants to.
I was really looking forward to my wife going to the spa.
Well, you
with me.
couldn't make it. You got to call earlier. You got to make an appointment.
You
yeah,
and
I
Michael
know,
could get a couple's massage.
But like, if I could
That's
have my
something we do as
choice.
a date.
Oh wait.
Done that a couple times.
Oh,
Okay. Well, that's
okay,
good.
all right.
Why didn't that come up?
I didn't think.
Well, we didn't ask him.
What-
Put me
yeah.
on the spot.
Okay.
So you different dates call for different something. Do you have like a favorite restaurant? Do you have something that the people can look up and understand a little bit more about Michael? And
We don't hit like one restaurant over and over again, but there's a couple that are good, and we go try new stuff when we can. And
it's been so
Oh.
ambiguous today.
I mean, what do you mean to do? Give you like top 5 restaurants in Orlando? Is that-
No, just give me like the one. Like if you had a special occasion, we're so.
I
bad
will
at
say
answering
this:
questions.
I am a fan. We haven't. One thing I'm trying to do more and more of. I like doing like a drink at one place, a meal at another place, entertainment at a place, and like doing a little hopping around, as opposed to just like one restaurant for an hour and a half and calling it done.
I had dinner in Italy in Epcot when I was there.
That's
Ariel, is this a weird question? Like, I feel like this should be a question that's like pretty reasonable.
We don't have like, but I guess it's like you have a favorite breakfast place you go to, and you have like a favorite Mexican restaurant you go to for lunch, and you have like the best dinner place. It seems like you have more like the one. I have probably like a bucket of 10 around me that I'd go to. Like, there's not one that's like, that's where we go for celebrations.
I think that Bobby's question makes sense to me, but I feel like you're wanting something more specific than people are gonna
I'm
give.
just
I don't
asking
know.
for a single answer. Like just like a place. Give me a place.
All right,
Tom
well, I'll
can't do
tell
it.
you.
Michael
There's
can't
a
do
place
it.
in St. Louis that is called Trattoria Marsala. We've got some really good Italian restaurants on a place in St. Louis called The Hill. It's like the Italian neighborhood. And that is where we would go for like special occasion type stuff when I was younger. And it's still like it's like one of the most romantic spots in St. Louis. And it's just like an old Italian restaurant. It's pretty good. They make their own pasta. That's good.
Is
is
Imo's in the Italian area?
There are lots of emos around St. Louis. And I don't know that anybody would call emos actually Italian, but
We are going to
it's
try
delicious.
some emos when we come to St. Louis.
Well, I want to switch
Yeah.
the topic to our questionable decision because this conversation about wedding anniversaries and where you're going to go out is related to the topic that I have, and it's about relationships and money. And there are lots of these questions. Like when I am sourcing the question for each episode, I would say like 75% of the possible questionable decisions I run across are related to just money and relationships. Somebody's bad with money, somebody's good with money. People have different expectations on how to spend with one another. And so I've got lots out there, lots to choose from. But the one that I wanted to bring up was specifically with you in mind, Tom, because Tom, the way that if I could describe you to those who don't know Tom, and Michael and Bobby chime in, and then Tom, you can like say whether this is true. But you are very thoughtful and purposeful with your spending, and you optimize your retirement accounts and everything just to like, get to retirement as quickly as possible. Part of the FIRE community, I would assume. Is that all? That characterization sound accurate?
So far, so
Okay. And like Tom has told us, how much a cup of coffee costs for him, like in, buying different bags of beans to save money and get the cost of his cup of coffee down. So
like if you get a 25-pound bag of coffee on the day it expires, the price drops precipitously.
Yes. So I imagine Tom in this question here, being this person that is, he's going to be the guy who's good with money in here. So this is from Dear Penny. The headline is, "My rich boyfriend worries I'll burden him if we marry." And the question is, "Dear Penny, I'm a 35-year-old female who's divorced and my boyfriend is 38 and never married. We've been dating for 2 years and it's been wonderful. Recently, we've been having talks about our future, but money is a bit of a hang up for him. He makes significantly more than I do, between 4 or 5 times as much. And he worries that my low income means I'll be a burden on him when we get older if we decide to marry. The way I see it, I'm very responsible with the money I do make. I don't have any debt and I pay my own bills. I'm not asking him for anything, although I do understand that at this rate, my retirement savings will be meager while his will be substantial. That could lead to problems if he wants to travel and not feel bitter about having to pay for me for everything later on. Do you have any advice for us? This is one neither of us knows how to navigate." So is this a questionable decision to be in a relationship with somebody who makes significantly more or significantly less? How do you navigate that?
I think there's a lot more to a relationship than just the finances. And it seems like the view that's being put forward there is only looking at that slice of it. So if you're only looking at it from that perspective, it seems weird, very one-sided that way. But I hope that most people don't get married for the money. I think being on the same page on how you view money and being responsible with it and the choices that you make with it, if you're aligned on that, I think is more important than how much either party is bringing to the table individually.
That was a very nice answer, Tom.
Yeah, that was
good.
good.
Very classy answer by you. Did they say they were actually, she said they were getting married, or she's worried about when they're married or before they're married?
They're talking about like they've been together for a couple of years and they're thinking that marriage will be in the near future.
I mean, you get married, it doesn't really matter, unless you do a prenup or something. Like the money's, it's 50-50. Doesn't matter what you think about it. So I don't know. It's weird when people think about that. Like I know a lot of people we've talked on this podcast about like, keeping money separate and that kind of thing. But like, it just goes into a pot, whether you separate the pot out or not and kind of like technically separate it, like it's the couple's money. Like it's a weird concept. So I don't think you should feel bad. I mean, if he proposes to her and he knows that she makes less money, like wouldn't it? I mean, he would have to know that just kind of comes with it, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna go to a different question. Actually, I'm gonna like raise the stakes on this a little bit because maybe that was like too easy.
That's a softball. Yeah, that's too easy.
I don't know. All right, next one. It's another Dear Penny one.
What if Tom had been like, she should never get to eat the same food as him, and should never get to go on the same vacations as him? He stays in a nicer room than she does. Wouldn't that have been crazy?
She gets proportionally what she makes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's kind of this one. So, Dear Penny, I have a boyfriend named Rox. His name is Rox.
First red flag.
We've been dating
How's that spelled? How's it spelled? Like
ROCKS.
I was hoping there was like 2 Ks or something.
Mm-mm.
All right.
A Z.
I heard it as ROX.
They've been dating for 20 months.
I don't like how specific this already is, but
this seems strange. Yeah.
Rox doesn't ever pay for anything. Of course he doesn't. I pay for all of our restaurants, and that includes leaving tips. I pay. His name's Rox. I don't feel like Rox pays for anything. I pay for all of our movie tickets, arcades, drinks, and food, and parking for all events. If we go to a fast food place, I sometimes buy him food for the next day. I thought I was being thoughtful, but I learned that he is complaining to his friends about some of the places that we eat and are not good enough for him. And he was making fun of me for using coupons at fast food places. We often go to steakhouses too, where the bill is over $100, not counting the tip, and I always pay for everything. I'd say I contribute 97% financially, and he barely contributes 3%. I also do favors for him and fix things for him. He doesn't do much, and yet he complains to his friends that we don't eat at better places, and his friends make fun of me. Rox does work from home. He has a job. He's always looking for or shopping for things online. He buys himself lots of clothes. What should I do? Am I being unreasonable, or is he a deadbeat that I should dump? So here's another relationship issue.
I don't see how you can get this message typed out and still have to hit enter on is he a deadbeat and I should leave him. Come on.
Did she give her name?
Just C. Maybe her name's Crystal. It's like Crystal
or paper. Paper trumps rock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, bad joke.
Yeah, that was rough. That was hard to listen to. This is so weird. Like, why do people stay in relationships like this? It sounds just
a lot of time invested. Like, it's been 20 whole months.
20 months.
Right.
20
well,
months.
She's counting them all.
Throw that away.
And
like she's done 97%. Like, what is she?
Very specific.
Statistician?
She might be.
I'd like to get his perspective. What if he's like, man, she always wants to go out to eat, and I'm always saying like, I don't want to go out to eat, but she's forcing us to go out and eat all the time, and I just want to like make food at home, and she doesn't care. It's her fault. Like, I just feel like that. I wish there was a response.
No, you know, this guy wants to go out. He buys himself a lot of clothes.
It's like, it's such a dumb relationship.
I like that she's like buying him food for the next day at the fast food places, because you know that is not going to be good the next day.
Oh my God. No. Going to like White Castle and then like eating your, oh my God.
We're being very judgmental right now, but I feel like it's appropriate. In this
His name is Rox.
His name is Rox.
He's probably dumb. He's probably everything we think he is right now.
Do you know anybody named Rox, Tom?
No, but next day White Castle is very bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what you're going to.
Well, I mean, do you like same day White Castle?
As long as it doesn't have the pickles on it.
I have another relationship questionable decision. Can we keep going with these?
What is this?
No, I like this.
All right,
this is the yeah. We're going to do rapid fire relationship questionable.
Is this
decisions.
next one like less obvious?
Really quick, Tom, do you have anything else to contribute about Rox's relationship with C?
Drop the rocks.
Drop the rocks.
Yes, thank you, Tom. All right. This
your
is
energy levels at like a -3 right now.
We need more laughter. We need more irreverent comments. We need.
Is this like about food eating contests again? That's the only thing.
I've been living with my boyfriend for 8 months. Here's the problem. He won't tell me how much debt he has, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot.
I would imagine so.
Yeah, that's right.
He has 2 degrees from private schools that I know he's still paying for, but they haven't paid off job-wise. I also know he has some credit card debt. Again, don't know how much, about $9,000 left on his car loan. We keep our finances separate. He gives me 50%
Good.
for the
Probably
bills each month, and he is never late with his share. I have some debt too, so I'm not judging him for having it, but I'm worried that if it's significant, it could impact our plans to eventually buy a house, get married, etc. Whenever I ask him about his debt, he responds saying he always gives me half of his bills on time and tells me not to worry, or tells me to worry about my own debt.
Yeah.
Here's the
it's
thing.
Bad. It's really bad.
I know the passwords he uses for everything, and we share a laptop
No.
that has our tax forms
Uh-huh.
on it. I'm pretty
Hell
sure
no.
I could get the info needed to pull up his credit report.
Tom looks so concerned right now.
Whoa. I'm
I know
concerned.
it seems wrong, but isn't this important information to have about someone you're living with? So is that a questionable decision?
Holy
Multiple
crap.
questions. Oh, man. Absolutely not. She should not pry into his records like that.
Ooh, hot
That
take.
is
Yeah.
terrible.
Boom. Oh, we got
Just because she
heated.
can access it. It's like saying I can break into a bank, but no, I shouldn't. That would be bad.
I wouldn't say it's a 1-to-1 example, but go ahead.
I see the connection though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is she assuming that he won't know that she did this, and then their trust is broken? So
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
a lot
I feel
here is
like-
broken, but
yeah.
keep going.
Okay. So that aspect I don't agree with. She should not try to pry into that information or like use his passwords to break into his account. That's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Having the type
Maybe-
of debt matters.
But maybe it's so bad and he's avoiding it and he wants her to. Like that's why he leaves his passwords out. Maybe he's like just
Oh, he's
I
asking
hope she
for
I hope
it.
she finds out. I need someone to help me, but I can't admit I
But
need help.
she directly asked him, and he avoided it.
He's deep in denial.
I think he's just embarrassed. It sounds like he's just embarrassed about
Yeah.
the amount of
I
debt
can
Yeah.
where
understand
she'd
being
break up with him.
embarrassed.
I can understand that.
She didn't talk about the type that she has. She mentioned that he has credit card debt, and obviously that's
I think
very
he
high interest
has.
debt.
I think he has. It's student loan debt.
Right. Yeah. She mentioned both
Oh,
of
and
those
credit
for
card
him,
debt. Yeah.
but she said that she has her own debt, but didn't say what kind of debt she has.
Correct.
Yeah.
Reply. Ariel.
Hit
Ask
reply on that. Okay. What kind of debt do you have?
When I was getting married, my wife, not wife at the time, because we weren't married, she went to Columbia, so private school, grad school, and it was a huge number. And she also took out student loans for that. And they were at pretty poor rates. It was like multiple loans between 6, 7, 8%. Probably spread across close to half a dozen different loans there. And we were probably engaged at the time where I got like a real grasp of what was going on in the specifics of it.
Oh, probably. I thought you said proudly engaged. I was like, good for you. guys.
Probably. Like,
Okay.
I think we were engaged and we were in Brooklyn at the time. And I was looking at this and I was like, wow, this is terrible. And we refinanced the loans.
Can you see
so-
Tom coming in, just like putting down his briefcase, opening it up, and just being like, here we go.
Yeah, it's
Take
like
care of
Marie
this.
Kondo, but for finances. So we ended up getting a lower monthly payment and a shorter term. So it was costing less per month and it would have been paid off faster. So like instead of it went from like 6, 7, 8% loans to like a 5% loan or something. And then paid it off very aggressively over the course of, I think, like 10 months or so. And we got rid of it before the wedding occurred. So like they're not married yet. Like now's the time to address that stuff so that that baggage doesn't come into the marriage, especially the credit card debt. Student loans. I don't know what the refinancing looks like in this environment, but like if refinancing would get you something that's more palatable and perhaps lower than whatever their original rates are, then
I mean, I think that it's not like you sit down on your first date and you cover how
Sure.
much debt you have. There's obviously a time that it makes more sense. But if you've been going out for a while and you want to continue the relationship and you think it could be something,
and
you
they
have
live
to.
together.
Well, yes, and there's that, and they're already thinking about buying a house. Like it seems like they're past the point where it's a hard conversation, but you should have had this conversation. It's astounding to me the number of people who get engaged, even get married, and never have full clarity into the debt that people are bringing into the relationship, you have to know that. You have to have that conversation.
It's probably going to come up as soon as they apply for a mortgage. They're going to do it jointly and they're both on that mortgage. His credit rate is going to affect that.
Can you imagine that mortgage lender, you're sitting down in the office with him and you're like, what can we get? And he's like asking all the questions and pulling it up. And like you learn for the first time that your partner has $50,000 in credit card debt and like 10 accounts.
Yeah, but what's crazy is a lot of people, it's not 50,000. It's
I mean, I know. It's just like, I don't know. I just can't imagine like that's where you learn it. And like I feel like those people would have some stories to share about these moments. Very awkward. Like, how do you mediate them? What are you doing?
They better figure it out now.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be bad later. I don't know. I just think, do you think she would, we don't know this person. Would they break up? Like, is it just like, oh, I've got $200,000 debt. She's like, I'm leaving you. Like that doesn't seem, if you really care about somebody, that doesn't seem like what would probably happen. So I think she needs to ask herself.
Depends how it's handled, I think. So like I've seen some of this happen firsthand with the credit card debt and stuff, where there's dishonesty about it because of the embarrassment. And it's like trying to hide that the credit card debt exists and then finding out like, oh, this guy is $10,000 in debt. And then it's like, well, he lied to me about it. Do I break off this relationship because of that? Or try to tackle it or like come to some kind of financial...
If he actually lied about it, yeah, you should probably really consider.
Yeah, he's just withholding because he's worried about it. I think that she should assume it's really, really like super high, like $300,000.
That way she's...
But then evaluate, like if he says 300,000, am I going to break up with this guy? And if the answer is no, and if the answer is no at 200,000 or 100,000, then she just needs to tell him like, look, I don't care what the number is. I just need to know. But I'm not going to like break up with you because I've already thought through this. To me, that makes the most sense. Like just to communicate. I feel like every one of these comes down to like people just don't talk.
I agree. I think I like the idea of just like having this very open conversation. Like, listen, we're really happy together. I want, I see a future for us. I hope you, as long as you do too, we need to start talking about this. I'm not going to judge where you're at. She should be ready and fully prepared to like lay out all of her financial information as well. But the part that is concerning is that she's even considering like hacking into his loan.
That's crazy people stuff. That's not, you don't do that.
Well, and it makes me think that there's maybe some other kind of like trust issue there for her, like some other underlying issue that would even make her think that that's okay. Like, would you want to get married to somebody who would do that though?
Well, to be clear, I don't think she should hack into his stuff either.
No.
To be clear.
No.
However, he won't tell her. And it's like having an envelope she could peek under. Like, of course the temptation is there and it makes sense because he won't tell her. So I don't think she should do it. But I do think that the temptation makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, if I open this envelope, I'll know it. I could just open the envelope. I mean, it's a reasonable temptation.
I agree. But I just think it's like outrageous that she's even like typed this up saying like, I might do it. Or would it be wrong to do it? I know it seems wrong is what she says. Yes, it does seem wrong that you would do this.
I don't even like pick up my wife's phone without asking her and like unlock it and ask without saying like, hey, do you mind if I look at this? Like there's like a recipe or something. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even think to do that because I just feel like that's such a breach of trust. It's just a weird thing. I don't know. I think they're screwed, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to work. Like,
yeah,
I hate to say
it could work. It just has to get addressed before marriage. They need to put all the cards on the table, strategize about it, and see if
show me all your credit cards. I'll show you all mine.
It's got to get addressed before she goes in and opens up his computer. Like that's the kiss of death, I think.
All right, one more. Dear Penny, my boyfriend of almost 2 years has recently asked me to start paying the electric and water bills at his place. I live about an hour's drive from him, so I really only spend the weekends with him. I've washed my clothes 3 times max in the almost 2 years.
This is they're already keeping a log. I've washed my clothes 6 times in his house, and he's asking me. There's already problems. Go
The
ahead.
load was only 50% full.
Yeah, really. It was an eco mode. It's a high efficiency washer.
All right. And I washed his clothes with mine those times.
So it cancels out.
I clean his house, watch his dogs, buy food, and share the cost of going out, vacations, etc. I feel that he is not acknowledging my contributions in any way. So how should I handle this situation?
Dude, I am so glad I have a healthy relationship.
I know.
Like a normal healthy
Dating
relationship.
just seems so terrible.
Like every one of these start out with, my boyfriend of way too long has not gotten off his sorry ass and done anything, and he's a deadbeat. I feel so bad for these people.
Tom, what is your response to this one?
It sounds like a ridiculous request.
Some Dr. Phil level insight there.
Unless you have a meter specifically on the
Oh my
washer and dryer machine.
God. And to be clear, you shouldn't.
I think she should ask him to get a new washer and dryer that is coin operated so that when she comes over, she can pop
There you
quarters
go.
in.
That's a great one.
But do we think I'm sure she asked him why, but she didn't give the answer to that. But she said, I've only washed my clothes a couple times.
And they're mixing their dirty laundry.
But is that where why she thinks he's asking her to pay these bills?
I guess.
What a weird request.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she takes like really long showers or something, and she's in there for like 2 hours and like running the water and the water heater and all that sort of stuff. I mean, maybe that's it. Or also maybe he's like not doing well financially and is like looking to find a way to offset some of his costs.
I don't know. I think that they're screwed
seems
too.
like very petty.
Yeah.
It's like, do you remember being in high school and you'd take like a 2-minute drive with your friend and they wanted gas money?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see my
It just
daughter.
kind of seems ridiculous. Like, I'll give you the gas money, whatever. Giving you $1 or $2 isn't worth any conversation that's going to stem from it. But it's just kind of silly. Like, you drove 2 miles. You want to divide that by your cost per gallon.
All right. What did we learn from all this? I feel like there is something here to learn.
Dating sucks.
Mhm.
Dating
I
seems
feel like
terrible.
I think
it's
it's
something
I'm
very
glad that
sad.
I'm married. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, but hold on. Can I just bring this back to why I brought these up again because Tom, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on you, Tom, but I just
I'm open.
He doesn't look
Can't
like he's under too
imagine
much pressure.
you being in a relationship with any of these people or like out in the normal world where people aren't like so optimized with their spending and saving. And like, how would you just like, what would you do if you were dating and you came across somebody who had
is your
debt
impulse
or
to help
who-
people or like to slap them the backside of the head and tell them to
Those are
their
the
shit
only two
together?
options.
Tough love is kind of both of those, right? So the way I look at it is like, my wife is not into finances the way I am, right? But I'm the one that's optimizing on whatever. We don't both need to optimize, but as long as like we're both in agreement about what's occurring with our finances, it's okay. I'm doing the grunt work on the financial stuff, figuring out which dollars go to which account, how much we're spending on certain categories in our budget, things like that. As long as she's like cool with that, it all works out. And it's not like I'm super restrictive. Like, it's a conversation, 2 parties, she says, we should be doing more in this area. And it's like, all right, we'll figure it out. Where I want to sign up for, our kid to go to the summer camp. Okay, whatever. That sounds, figure out a summer camp out. Like, it's all a discussion. But like, there can be some learning that occurs both ways too. Cause like I said, my wife isn't super into the finances. So if we have a talk about like, hey, you can't just make the minimum payment on the credit card, interest racks up when you do that. Where like it totally negates the rewards program on the city double cash card if you carry a balance over. Those things, it happens.
Oh, lucky lady.
I think we.
But
Let me break
same
out the
time-
terms and conditions of our Chase
Yeah.
Sapphire card.
I don't have one of those. That's quite the annual fee there.
You'd hate my platinum card then.
But like we have all of our accounts tied into Mint. So like I'm aware of, what the balances are on every credit card that we have. And we do have a joint account, but we also carry our own separate checking accounts too. So like there's a portion of our paychecks that go into the joint account and like mortgage comes out of that. daycare comes out of that, things like that. And then we each have a separate account. So it's like, I don't care what she's doing with the percent that's going into her own account if she wants to go splurge on something, and that's an okay middle ground for some couples because it allows you to have that joint financial stuff where like you're working together on everything, but then some portion that's yours where you don't need to like ask permission on.
Yeah, that'll make sense. I guess I'm just like thinking about before you get married, and you're dating somebody who's like has an addiction to designer handbags or like is spending a ton of money on.
If that handbag thing wasn't a bullet point on like a dating profile or like, a car they give you, like, hey, my name is so-and-so, I'm addicted to handbags, then I would consider it, because it's like one of those things that comes along with the relationship and either you can navigate it or you can't.
There has to be a understanding in the premarital counseling or whatever that we're going to have a budget and we're going to have to agree by it because you do have to live off of the money you both make. And lots of people can structure it differently, but you can't ultimately not agree on that. It won't work.
Really? Yeah.
I just wanted Tom to be like,
I think there are a lot of people that don't have a budget and they just kind of ride by their coattails and, hope there's enough in the account every month or.
I guess that's my definition of not working, spiraling into more and more debt and, not having in control of your finances.
Does require a certain level of financial savviness, though. Some people just don't focus on their finances at all. And, that's how you end up in the credit card debt and stuff. And hopefully at some point you get that light click moment. Ideally, it would be great if all of that's taken care of before marriage.
So what you're saying is we need more savvy couples.
I think we need more education in the financial space. And yeah, definitely there's a whole aspect to it, like finances for couples and like figuring all that stuff out. I don't think that's typical part of premarital counseling, if I had to guess. I don't really recall doing any of that.
Ariel, did you do premarital counseling?
Yeah. We had to meet with a pastor because we're not involved in a church, and he had to like sign off on us, being not right with the Lord, but I guess okay-ish with the Lord to get married.
He was just
you gave him an IOU?
Whatever. He's like, whatever.
We're like, one day.
All right, guys.
I have to do that right now to be the godfather for my nephew. Like they're Catholic, so I need to go and get a priest to sign off on a form.
Yeah.
And my marriage isn't recognized by the Catholic Church. Like the last time around, I was in Brooklyn and I found a nun that was willing to sign off on it.
Dude, I love that story.
You went and tracked down a nun, get her to sign a form.
I went to a mass, and as I was sitting at the mass, I was like, there's a person. And then at the end of it, I walked up to her and we talked and everything, told her the situation, It's not like...
Slipped her $100?
No, she was cool about it. I flew my pastor down from college to marry my wife and I because we had like met through the church, but it wasn't the Catholic church. So, he married us and it was like, here's what happened. She's like, okay, here's the process you have to go through to like get it recognized by the Catholic Church. I'm like, okay. And she just signs the paper and there was basically a note. It's like, we talked about the process and that was it.
Wow. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode. We will be back next week with another episode. We've got great emails coming out every week. And if you have any questions, you can text us. The number and link to sign up for that email list are down in the description. Thanks and bye.
Bye.
Bye.